Hello and welcome to Diaspora Digital Media. This is As It Dey Happen. We're looking at trending issues for today. And guess what? One of the issues is the opposition leader in Ukraine passed away in custody. Who is responsible? And there's like a showdown in February. The National Association of Road Transport Owners are downing tools today. And we also have the organized labor threatening a general nationwide strike sometimes in February as well. And good news, at least we have the federal government setting up a committee to look into the issue of state police. It's not for me to do all the talking. I have with me as guest on As It Happened today, Dr. Bill Doon Williams. Doctor, you're welcome.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Rampam Jr., to be here with you.
Thank you. Well, this is our tradition as it happened. It's just straight to the chase. Not really an interview. Let's just have your take. What do you think about the death of the opposition leader in Russia, Alexei Navalny?
Well, thank you for having me today. The war in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine, has been on for quite a long while now, and a lot of intrigues, a lot of dynamics to international politics have delved in. And more so, from my personal view, I think something deeply rooted with the personalities, especially of the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, whom I
Mhm.
feel is a dogged, a courageous, and a no-nonsense man who would not want anyone to jeopardize whatever he is doing as the president of his country. We remember
Mhm.
the event surrounding the general, the one that died in the aircraft. I can't remember the name right now. Um,
Mhm.
it seemed as if some form of dialogue and truce were reached, but to our greatest surprise, the global community woke up to the aircraft crash that happened involving the general and his other crew members. So
Yes, yes.
I feel personally it's in a like manner. Vladimir Putin, I feel, is one kind of a personality who doesn't like being challenged to the point of being challenged at the time of war. Who himself
Mm.
is a military person, and a military person that is tough to that extent. So personally, I
Mm.
think it's just the issue of trying to protect the the enclave which he has created for himself and for his country, to ensure that there are no people that tend to frustrate or militate against the war that they are actually
Mm.
fighting against Ukraine. So I think it's just
Yeah.
trying to silence voices that are
Mm.
opposed to all that he's doing. But I wouldn't
And,
want
and
to
you know
say more.
one thing, yeah, one thing, Dr. Williams, this is just like a month to the elections, to their own
Yes,
elections in Russia. And the
yes,
major
yes.
opposition guy just died after being on TV for interrogation a few days back, and suddenly heart failure or whatever it is. US is saying Putin is responsible. The guy in Ukraine is saying it's Putin. And the people within Russia themselves are saying they're not really free. You know, even for the candlelight name, people are now being arrested. Must must it go to that extent?
Well, that is the kind of politics that we see at the global stage. You know,
Or
um, opposition leaders try to be silenced, and that's the trend. You know,
Mm.
If you have a country that is totalitarian, where the president seems to be one who calls all the shots and everything, you expect those kind of scenarios to play out, and
Mhm.
that is something that has been the trend, especially in Russia and other like countries. You know.
Yeah. Now, food prices soar, and they say inflation has now hit 29%. That is officially. We don't
Yeah.
know the unofficial rates. What is your take? Because the kind of prices we're paying, for example, I paid for a measure of rice ending of January, 1005, local rice. First week
Mm.
of January, I bought the same local rice, 1007. Second week of January, which was just last week, 2002.
Hmm.
How are we going to cope?
It's quite disheartening. It's quite disappointing that Nigerians are taking this down a historically low level economically. I'm not sure Nigeria has ever had it this bad. You know, you wake up every day, the economic indices are getting worse by the day. I wasn't surprised in any case because I saw it coming. I knew that the inflation rate will continue to uh, go to the extent it's going. And I also know that the exchange rate will continue to get worse because you cannot put a round peg in a square hole and expect it to work. The managers of our economy seem inept. They seem not in tune with the realities of the times. They don't seem to be in line with the yearnings of the masses. Because if all this were being in the forefront and they are considering that, with the people at heart, I believe more sterner, more decisive actions would have been taken long before now. You know, you see a government that is having an
Mm.
over bloated budget, a government whose budget don't seem to factor in the realities of the times. You see extravagant expenditures of the government, and then you expect these things to just disappear. Or, all of a sudden they won't disappear. You know, because most of all these indices that are being churned out every day by the National Bureau of
Yeah, but
Statistics are the official statistics, as you said, but the unofficial ones, I can tell you, they are far higher than what it is. You just made mention of buying rice, local rice, that just a few months ago, maybe 3, 4 months ago, was selling at 800 naira, but today it's 2,000 and counting. I've
exactly.
never seen an economy that will so decline so rapidly the way Nigeria's economy has declined. So whatever it is that the
Mm.
managers of our economy can do at the moment to halt the trajectory which this economy is going, the better for us. We're already seeing agitations all over the place, people protesting all over the place. In fact, I was telling someone just yesterday, I said the greatest disease that we have now, it's hunger. Not even the sicknesses that we see people coming down as a result of the hunger itself, but the hunger is written on the faces of the masses. And if something drastic, something urgent is not done, I can tell you, only God, we call God a lot, but God has given us brains to use to solve our problems, humanly created problems. They are not natural disasters. And so I call on the
Mhm.
managers of our economy to really put their heads together to support the president in a way that in no distant time the economy will be revived, and then we'll begin to see a revival of the economic indices of of our country.
Yeah, if I would add something there, Dr. Williams, we had a guest on GDM just That is Dr. Onyeka Obareri, and he predicted that if by March, and that is March 2024, the federal government does not go back, does the 1963 constitution, and reduce power from the central to make the various zones productive and begin to take proactive measures, that by the end of this year, 90% of Nigerians will be under the poverty level. And that is even on the milder side. These issues come up. Government has borrowed yes, 7 billion to stabilize the naira. But we have not seen where it is coming. When you talk, they say it is birth pains, that the removal of subsidy would bring such problems, but then it will go. How long will it take for these birth pains? Is there hope the way the policymakers are going with it?
How long indeed? How long indeed? That is the question that every Nigerian, every patriotic Nigerian should be asking. How long is it going to take this government to really get it right? From day one, an economic statement was made that snowballed the Nigeria's economy into this quagmire, into this trouble that we are in, the troubled waters we are really sailing against. You know, the president came in from day one on his at his inaugural speech, made a illustration. You know, that statement really unsettled a lot of issues, economic wise and in other dimensions politically, because it was not necessary for a government that is just coming in on day one to make that kind of a statement. Now the first subsidy was removed.
Mm.
Even at now, I can tell you there are queues, fuel queues. One, there's no fuel in the city, despite the hike in the pump price of fuel. You cannot even afford it. You cannot even see the fuel, even at the 700 naira that it is selling at the moment. They tell us that if not because of the
Mm.
removal of fuel subsidy, it would have been worse. But it is even more than what you call worse indices for our petroleum downstream and upstream sectors, because you are paying very high. Cost of goods and services is increasing. Cost of transportation increasing. The farmers cannot even go to the farm. Insecurity issues are there, and so many other factors model up in one piece. So whatever informed that decision is what I cannot even explain at the moment, because you cannot be buying fuel at 700 naira and yet you cannot
Yes.
see it, and yet they still tell you that the presently IMF released a statement about 2 3 days ago that fuel subsidy is still being paid in Nigeria. How was the last administration doing it?
Hmm.
That we were still able to get fuel officially at 185 naira before this regime came on board.
Exactly.
So how were they doing it? They were paying subsidy. Okay, you said you are going to remove subsidy, and Nigerians were giving you benefit of doubt. They allowed you to take it to from 180 officially to 500 and now to 700. Yet you are telling us that you are still paying subsidy. Then come on, you expect Nigerians to just sit down and be looking? It's very sad. It's quite disheartening that we have this kind of
Hmm.
insensitivity. Well, I think Nigerians are a patient kind of people. I've told someone, I said, I've not seen a citizen, a country that has citizens that are so as patient as Nigerians. So maybe we'll continue to be patient, but maybe our patience is wearing out.
Honestly.
For the protests we're already seeing on the streets, traditional rulers coming
It
out to make
has.
historical statements, that is a strong statement to the present government.
And It's good we have come to this point. There is more good news down the line. I don't know how patient Nigerians would be. Let's hope they muster more. Because as at today, which is a Monday, the National Association of Road Transport Owners say they are downing tools today, which means they will not be transporting PMS, petrol, from Lagos to anywhere, that they are running at a loss. Now, what is the implication of that on the food crisis that we're already facing?
Of course, of course, the food crisis will keep getting worse. The inflation rate will keep soaring high. The hunger in the land will keep getting worse because people cannot get food again, because the transporters of the food produce from the farms or from the markets are not able to transport their goods and services. And so the economic
Hmm.
problems in the country, the economic woes will continue to get worse, except the government does something so urgent and so strategic to halt this. I do not see any light at the end of the tunnel anytime soon.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams, for that. You're still on to As It Dey Happen on Diaspora Digital Media. There's that, this February, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, NARTO, said from today they are downing tools. And yes, what will be the implication? We've spoken a bit about it, but now we have the organized labor threatening strike by when? The middle of, well, a week or so from today. We have heard of strikes to go on in Ibadan or your state, and some even in Jos. So, what is really playing here? Is it that Nigerians are running out of patience, or they feel they can get attention of government by the strikes? What's your take, General?
Well, my take is that I think the government of the day has been, of all the governments we've witnessed in this democratic dispensation, that has enjoyed so much solidarity from the organized labor, and the likes. Because whenever there is a threat to disharmony or industrial action, the government quickly calls, and then the union leaders understands with the government and shift the goalpost again. And that has happened several times within the life of this administration. And I think the organized labor and the other unions have gotten to the crossroad now. The organized labor are also feeling the heat from the masses. They are the ones that represent the people at the grassroots, at the lower cadre of the societal stratas. And so they are also receiving the heat from the people. And so they have to extend the same to the people in power. The heat has to be dissipated in any way they could, so that at least the people should be able to see them doing their bidding. you know so
Mhm.
I think this government has really enjoyed a lot of solidarity from the unions, and they should not take it for granted.
And then in addition to just that, Dr. Williams, some of the opinion that, we know this one, it has always happened like that. Union wants to be settled. Are they going there to fight for just salary increase or the overall condition of economic situation of the country? And some believe that they are just going there, they want government to settle them. Can we see is there any truth to that?
Well, those that have those views are not incorrect, are not out of order. Indeed, because we have seen in past union labor organizations, especially here in Nigeria, how they go about negotiating with the government as though they are just, seeking for some favors from the government. Rather, instead of negotiating for things that benefit the generality of Nigerians, you see most of them negotiating just for salary increment, and some sort of allowances for just workers. How about people that are not employed with the government? How about the common Nigerian that is struggling on the day-to-day, scale, walking on the street, trying to meet the needs of his family? How are they being protected by these, labor organizations? So they should really think outside the box, try to engage the government on things that will affect directly majority of Nigerians. That is what they should be, asking the government to do. Provide basic infrastructure, provide basic social amenities that the people can be able to use to sustain themselves, to build their businesses and be self-reliant, and even be, employers of labor. But what do we see? Most times is just the interest of just workers. But we know that the Nigerian masses actually rely on these labor unions to fight for the cause of the common man in this country. And so the labor unions and then the transport owners taking up this decision to, embark on the strike action, it's not just timely, it's laudable, and they should be able to receive the support of all Nigerians to, press home the demands that we have of our government. It's long overdue that we have a state police policing security. As they said, insecurity is local, and if you have the community, the state involved in policing of its communities, then most of the criminalities, the terrorist activities that we see in our communities will go a long way, would have been resolved to a greater extent. So it's quite timely. It's something that should be implemented without further delay. Anybody that is scared of state police, then I think he is one of the enemies of the country, of course, because there's nobody that will not want a policing system that works for to serve our common interest. So anybody that is against the state police, that is my view, then that person, I think, is also an enemy of the state.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bill Doon Williams. It's been fun having you. It's a pleasure having you on As It Dey Happen. And well, I think that's where we'll call it a wrap for today's edition. And thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as it dey happen, it is just as it dey happen. Things go on around the country, and we need to talk about them, we need to advise one another, and we pray for the very best. Thanks for watching. On behalf of the entire team, have a very pleasant day.